Julian, welcome. It's been reported that Wikileaks has released more classified documents than the rest of the world's media combined. Can that possibly be true?
Yeah, can it possibly be true? It's a worry, isn't it? That the rest of the world's media is doing such a bad job that a little group of activists is able to release more of that type of information than the rest of the world press combined.
Picking up the wounded. Yeah, we're trying to get permission to engage. Light them all up. Come on, fire.
Good evening. They're the secret files from the Iraq
The
war.
internetplattform Wikileaks
Det är webbplatsen Wikileaks som publicerat omkring 400 000 sidor hemligstämplade amerikanska dokument.
WikiLeaks have made public the most extensive classified military and diplomatic material ever. What they've released is challenging and provoking governments with skeletons in their cupboards all over the world.
We should condemn the disclosure of any classified information by individuals and organizations.
The people who are in power will not give that power away freely. That is just unfortunately a fact of nature.
The Defense Department demands that WikiLeaks return immediately all versions of documents obtained directly or indirectly from the Department of Defense databases or records.
It's only now that the true story behind the development of this closed organization is coming to light. But while the world's discussing whether Assange is a rapist or a saint, WikiLeaks continue to pursue their own political agenda.
Every release that we do of material has a second message, and that is we set examples. If you engage in immoral, in unjust behavior, it will be found out, it will be revealed, and you will suffer the consequences.
What we have here is a new breed of rebel, IT guerrillas without a national base. Student digs, coffee bars and server rooms, these are their command and control centers spread all over the world, and the battle's already started.
The general in charge of 120 Defense Intelligence Agency personnel targeting this institution and its products.
WikiLeaks have become a global force to be reckoned with in record time. It may not be easy to grasp at first, but the release of classified information is just a small step in a long-term political and ideological battle. And that leaking classified information is a weapon and not a means unto itself.
The public has a right to know materials, and the historical record has a right to have materials of diplomatic, political, ethical, historical significance. If something is interfering with that process, we will undo it.
He's been called the Scarlet Pimpernel of the computer age. If one were to judge him on his looks alone, you could call him a chameleon, given the frequency of his change of hairstyles during the 6 months we've been following WikiLeaks. But if you look under the surface, you'll soon discover that Julian Assange has been revolting against the powers that be for a long time. As a teenager in Australia, he called himself Mendax and got a name for himself as a highly skilled hacker. By the age of 21, he found himself in court pleading guilty to some 20 different charges of hacking.
Yeah, I mean, we had a back door in the US Military Security Coordination Center. This is the peak security for controlling the security of MILNET, the US military internet. We had total control over this for 2 years.
The US space agency NASA is one of the victims of the Melbourne computer hacking syndicate. American investigators, including the FBI, contacted Australian authorities with their suspicions.
The court was told the men even tampered with the police investigation into hacking at the ANU.
The judge, seeing Assange as just an inquisitive young man, fined him a symbolic sum and released him. However, the trial added further fuel to Assange's feelings about the importance of unrestricted information. Together with some friends, he sets up one of Australia's first internet suppliers and gives people with politically sensitive viewpoints a platform from which to publish their opinions. But when one of his customers publishes secret Scientology manuals, this prompts aggressive efforts to censor him.
Helen Coburn, one of the lawyers for Scientology in California, I mean, sent many letters trying to attack us, and they ended up hiring a private investigator to try and track me down, who did manage to get hold of my silent telephone line and call me up, and just as a sort of threatening maneuver. I ended up tracking down how they did that.
Those efforts to censor the site strengthen his conviction that something has to be done against those withholding important information from the public at large.
What the problem was, there needed to be more actions that created positive reform effect. More actions that were just and corrective to injustice.
Assange sees disclosures as a preventative instrument. It warns those involved in morally questionable or criminal acts that they'll be found out and will have to face consequences.
I understood the significance of disclosures for quite some time. I mean, I registered leaks.org in 1999.
In 2006, Assange and a group of like-minded people start building up a special internet service, Wikileaks.org, exclusively for people wishing to blow the whistle on abuse of power. His fellow conspirators comprised of hackers and mathematicians. They're located around the world and communicate via a restricted mailing list. From this platform, they start defining their thoughts of building up a worldwide movement to mass publicize classified information. They affirm that this is the most cost-effective political weapon and that they intend to place a new star on the political firmament of man.
Any reform that is large-scale must be based upon information, because what else can spread other than viruses? Only information can spread and achieve large-scale reform.
Inspired by Wikipedia, WikiLeaks distribute the leaked information to anonymous volunteers to check its authenticity and eliminate any traces of the sender's identity. It turns out that the majority of the general public has neither the time, interest or resources to analyze WikiLeaks material, but there are professionals to turn to.
In 2006, we hoped that the general public would write analysis articles collaboratively. And not at all true.
WikiLeaks come to the conclusion that media are the only channels that have the resources and motivation required to create a real impact. In 2007, WikiLeaks, in association with the British daily newspaper The Guardian, published evidence of former President Daniel Arap Moi having embezzled massive sums from Kenyan state funds. Shortly after that, they release a report about the Kenyan police's use of death patrols. This disclosure causes a great stir, but as an organization, WikiLeaks continue to remain unknown to the general public.